Kristaps Porzingis has recently spoken out on his time with and against the New York Knicks, and we have to talk about it. So what's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and I'm in a 2015 NBA All-Star Game shirt as it did take place in New York, and just a few short months later, Porzingis was drafted to the team, and Knicks fans did not really like the draft pick until they loved it, until he got injured, and then he requested a trade, and then we all hated him for a while. But things have sort of subsided in the past few years with Porzingis and with the whole situation. I think mainly because we ended up getting Jalen Brunson, so it all worked out in the end because Dallas just flubbed that somehow. And when you look at it, Porzingis was recently asked about his move going back to Dallas for Game 3 and 4 of the NBA Finals and potentially Game 6 if Dallas gets that far. And here's what he had to say. He said, "I definitely don't expect a comeback like I had in New York." Now, when Porzingis first returned to New York from the Dallas Mavericks, he was met with a series of boos and different chants that I will not repeat on the internet because people really did not like the way Porzingis handled things, which was fair. On January 31st of 2019, Porzingis basically said, "I don't like the direction the franchise is going," and then because of advice he took from his brother, who did not know what he was talking about but was living vicariously through KP because his brother Giannis could never get to the NBA, he essentially informed them that he would go back to play in Europe if the Knicks did not fix their situation or trade him, and that he would accept the qualifying offer in that free agency when he'd be a restricted free agent, come back for 1 year, and then just no matter what, not play and walk in free agency. So obviously Porzingis handled things like a child as he was 22 years old, and sometimes, as 22-year-olds, we screw things up. I would know. I'm 22 right now. But Porzingis has in the past spoken out more about this and more about his time in New York and just about the way he's handled his career in general. And he kind of talked about the Knicks booing him earlier last year also, or earlier this year also, when he was on the Boston Celtics, or now that he's on the Celtics. And he said, "I enjoy being booed, to be honest. They went down in my years in Washington. I was still getting booed, but they've ramped up a little bit, me with being on the Celtics." Now, that's fair. I think we all saw the chance that Porzingis, a guy who we all kind of hoped would be a New York Knicks superstar, now, after a turn of events with many trades and a lot of turmoil and injuries, he's now the starting center for the Celtics, and he's arguably their most important player. The man has been excellent for them when he's been on the court. I think he's going to win Finals MVP because the Celtics seem like they have this. And really, when you look at it, Porzingis found a perfect situation for him as he was never going to be the best player on a championship team. He just never panned out to be that good, as great as he is. He's just not that level, which is fine. But he's on the Celtics, and as Knicks fans, we were not the biggest fans of that, and we're still not, so we gave him the boos in all fashion, and I think it's honestly fun. I think it's good for him. I think it's good for the NBA. It creates a little bit of rivalry, and I don't think there's too many of us right now who look back on it and have any beef with Porzingis. I mean, like all Knicks fans, I really did not like the guy because the way he handled things, but in recent years, it's cooled off. When you think about how the Knicks were ran as a franchise, when you think about Porzingis' decisions, it does make sense that he wanted to get traded away from all that. And I kind of get it. I think the worst part about it is the way the Knicks rushed the trade and then made a poor trade, moving Porzingis for DeAndre Jordan, Dennis Smith Jr., Wesley Matthews, who literally played 2 games for the Knicks and then got bought out, and then a 2021 and 2023 draft pick. The 2021 pick obviously did its own thing, and then when you look forwards into 2023, it gets deferred. You move to that other situation where now it's, because Dallas purposely lost games, that now we're having this year's pick that appears to be going at 24th overall, as when you look at things, Dallas is probably not going to win this final series against Boston. And I honestly think that it's not the worst trade in the world. It wasn't, because the Knicks ended up using that money to sign Julius Randle, who kind of led to Jalen Brunson, and the Knicks were able to use that trade down the line through the trade tree to land Emmanuel quickly, and obviously that helped them get OG Anunoby, and all of this kind of led to the Knicks being where they are now. So it's hard to hate that situation. Sure, the Knicks could have probably gotten better, but you don't know if it would have led to them having a true NBA superstar like they do now. So it all somehow worked out in the end for us, probably because I think the basketball gods just decided that we deserved a break, which, is very true. But when you think about it, had the Knicks kept Porzingis, let's say none of that happened. Let's say Porzingis just didn't demand a trade. None of that happened. He probably would have been a very good fit with the Knicks team today. Now, would it all have worked out? Maybe. I mean, he probably wouldn't have just played that season anyway with the Knicks. He probably would have taken the full year off, recovered from the ACL injury, and then the Knicks would have drafted RJ Barrett anyway. However, they would not have gotten Emmanuel quickly, which would have maybe changed the way that they lead to getting OG Anunoby. Maybe they just give the Raptors a first instead of OG. Do the Knicks still sign Julius Randle? I mean, in this situation, they're probably still striking out on KD and Kyrie, so maybe they do. And maybe they find a way after that to bring in Jalen Brunson anyway. And yeah, I mean, Porzingis is an excellent fit on this team when he's healthy, but as we just saw today, he tore that muscle. He's questionable now. He's probably going to have to rehab that thing once this series ends. So maybe it all worked out for the best, but Porzingis has spoken out a lot about it and regrets how he handled things. And he said, could I go back and do things differently? For sure. From our side, I was hurt, meaning injured. If I kept playing, it would have been completely different. I'm young and listening to people and what they're telling me on what I should do with my career. You don't know any better. Now, Porzingis said that last year, and honestly, you kind of have to understand. And he could have been like, oh, well, also Steve Mills was a terrible president of basketball operations. Scott Perry didn't do anything to help the situation. The Knicks were a dumpster garbage fire that literally were not giving me anything to work with. They gave me Tim Hardaway Jr. and called it a day. Like, that's not a good team for me to succeed. I won't succeed. I'll just continue to lose if I'm on this team. So you have to understand the fact that Porzingis basically entirely said, nah, I was young, I was immature, I handled things poorly, my bad. You gotta respect the fact that he really has taken the whole blame of this situation, and knowing that he does love New York. If you look at his social media, you could tell the man spends a lot of time in New York. He still has an apartment here. The man, it was his first home his first home in America. So clearly he's got a special connection to this place. Now, I don't think he'll ever be back on the Knicks. I honestly would bet all my money that he never plays for the Knicks again, and that's fine. The Knicks don't need him. It's a fun thought to have of, oh man, Porzingis, he would fit on this team. The Knicks would easily be in the finals right now if they had him there and he was healthy, but, he's usually not healthy, and either way, the rest of the Knicks weren't anyway, so whatever. But when you look at his numbers, he would just be an absurdly good fit with the Knicks because he doesn't have to be a great rebounder. He's a good rebounder, and with Julius Randle being a great rebounder, it doesn't really matter. He's blocking at 2 shots per game. He's really just doing his thing with 2.5 stocks per game. He's obviously not hitting threes in the corner at all, but he's a big man. He is hitting them from the top of the key. He loves that catch and shoot three ball. He works on that high post so well. 37.5% from three, over 50% from the field. Sure, the man now would be a good fit with this current Knicks team. He clearly had a rapport with Brunson, but that's out the window, as we all know. It is fun to look back on this situation and think how well the Knicks turned out and how, I guess, Dallas turned out well also, but not in the way we'd expect. I mean, if Porzingis got traded to Dallas in 2019 like he did, and then someone said, oh yeah, I'm from the future, in 5 years, Dallas is going to make the NBA Finals, your reaction would probably be like, yeah, evidently so. Porzingis and Luka Doncic, great duo. They're probably great. They probably are going to win the NBA Finals. And then that time traveler is like, nah, actually, Porzingis is on the Celtics now, and Luka is teammates with Kyrie on Dallas. Your jaw would hit the floor. So you never can predict what's going to happen in the NBA. You never could have predicted, oh yeah, the Knicks traded Porzingis. Wow, are they still terrible? Nah, they're the second seed in the East because a second-round point guard that Dallas drafted the same year as Luka, Jalen Brunson's one of the best players in the NBA. And he plays for the Knicks along with the rest of Villanova and Julius Randle, who's become an all-NBA player. You can't predict the NBA. It's the most fun reality TV show you'll ever find. And because of that, you just got to trust if you got a good front office, and the Knicks do, so I trust what they're going to do this offseason, and we're going to be on top of it. Great transition right there, so make sure to subscribe, like this video, comment down below, turn on post notifications, tune in for the third live stream on Thursday, 7 p.m., usual start time. We're going to have some fun in there, and you don't want to miss out. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll catch you on the next one. Go Knicks, baby.